This might seem controversial, but when I train legs, that's harder than running a half marathon. What's going on YouTube? Tony Johnson here from GoTonyJohnson.com. In today's video, we're talking all about marathon training. 16-week marathon training plan. Whether you're a complete beginner, you have no experience, your first race, this video is designed to walk you through day by day of exactly what you need to do for each day of the week for your entire duration of training. We'll talk about how far to run, what type of runs to do, we'll talk about pace, and then I do a hybrid style training where I run part of the week and then I strength train for another part. So we'll break down strength training, we'll talk about what days to strength train, we'll talk about what exercises to do, reps, sets, everything in between. This is an A to Z video. My goal with this is for this to be a one-stop shop for your half and full marathon training. If you've been spending a bunch of time reading articles, watching videos, my goal with this video is for you to know absolutely everything you need to know about how to train for a full marathon. Now, if you do enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you know someone who is training for a marathon and you get value out of this video, share it to at least one person to help them out with their training too. So we'll dive into my screen, break down everything day by day. Before I really dive into my screen, I want to introduce myself just in case you don't know who I am. My name is Tony. I have ran half and full marathon before. I ran my first marathon a few years ago in 2019, and I didn't have any running experience. I couldn't run a mile when I first started training. I grew up playing sports and strength training, but in terms of actually running, zero experience at all. And my goal was to be able to go from 0 to 26.2 miles in 8 months and run a sub 4-hour marathon. Very crazy, I know. And the reason I got that goal was because I was reading the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and that book inspired me to push myself past my perceived limits, try something new, and I thought that the marathon was the goal, the challenge that I wanted to tackle. And going into my marathon training, I did what everyone else would do. I downloaded a training plan, I was watching videos just like this one, and all of them said run 5, 6, 7 times per week. Unfortunately for me, that didn't work at all. I got injured. I injured my right knee, and then I injured my left knee. I couldn't run for about 2 months with time ticking, fear kicking in, worried that I wouldn't be able to complete the race. I scratched that training plan. I created my own where it was a hybrid style of running and strength training. I reduced the amount of running I was doing, I increased the amount of strength training I was doing, and because I did that, I was able to achieve my goal of running a sub 4-hour marathon. So in this video, we'll be talking about my exact training plan, everything you need to know from A to Z. So let's dive into my screen and we'll break it down day by day. Okay, here is the weekly planning schedule, Sunday all the way to Saturday. But before we do that, I want to talk about goals, mindset, and some just overall notes. The goals I have when I'm training for a marathon is the first thing, finish in a certain amount of time. Now, for all my races, I pick a time, I reverse engineer the process. I start with the goal in mind, the very end, and I work my way back to the very front. And the first thing to do that is you have to pick a certain time and of course the overall distance, which is going to be the marathon for this video. And so you want to pick a certain amount of time that you want to finish the race. It could be 4 hours, it could be 5 hours, even 6 hours. Majority of people who are training for their very first marathons run between 4 and 5 hours, I would say. I think the average is roughly 4 hours and 30 minutes. And so that's a good place to start. You want to be able to finish it in a certain amount of time. I'm not into the whole walk, run method. I don't really like that. I think it hurts your overall time just because walking takes a lot longer than running. And I think that if you train properly and build the endurance and the strength you need, you don't need to walk. I always like to pick a time that I challenge myself, of course, but I still think it's doable, and then we'll start there. So finish in a certain amount of time, and then for the training plan itself, I like it to be 16 to 20 weeks. Now, I don't want to train for a year, 2 years, 3 years to run a marathon. I like to finish it between 16 to 20 weeks. That's a good training block. If it's too long, then you'll notice you could get burned out, you could get bored, fatigue, you lose interest, and it becomes kind of a daunting task. You might overthink it, but if it's a little bit shorter, in the sweet spot, 16 to 20 weeks, you'll remain focused, the desire will be there, you'll enjoy it more, and so 16 to 20 weeks, even if it's your very first race, I would do 20 weeks, but 20 weeks, it seems to be the sweet spot. And if you want to go to 6 months, that's fine, but 20 weeks is roughly where you want to be. So the way I structure my training plans, I want to run 3 times a week, strength train 3 times a week. So as I mentioned, running 5, 6, 7 times a week doesn't work that well, at least for me. I got injured. I really don't think that's the most efficient or effective way. A lot of runners end up getting injured, and one of the core reasons they do is overuse injuries. If you're only running and running and running, you put a lot of pressure on your joints, like your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hips, ligaments, and you increase the likelihood of getting injured. So running less and being able to progress while you rest and actually being able to recover is going to help tremendously with your training. And then on the flip side, I like to incorporate strength training into my routine. For me, I've always loved lifting weights, building up a strong, lean physique, at least for me, looking good is something I've always valued. And so I've always wanted to incorporate strength training into my routine. Also, it really does help with your training, right? If you have stronger muscles, and especially in the lower body, then when you have to run up a hill, you have the strength to be able to go up that hill. Or when you get tired and you're fatigued, you'll have the strength to continue to push yourself instead of quitting or walking. And also, if you're stronger, then it helps reduce the risk of getting injured. So strength training is a necessity. It is a must that should be incorporated in all training routines, and it is definitely part of mine. Okay, so those are just some quick goals. And the way I approach all my training plans is I reverse engineer it. Start with the end in mind, and I work my way backwards. So I'll break down exactly how I would structure my training plan over here in the notes section. So let's say you're doing a 20-week training plan. At 20 weeks, you need to be able to run 26.2 miles. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, 20 weeks, you want to be able to run 26.2 miles. Then at 16 weeks, we'll break down into month-long measurements. 16 weeks, you got to be able to run 20 miles. Now, the reason you want to be able to run 20 miles at the 16 week, it could be even 17 weeks, depending on how long you want to taper, but it's because you need to incorporate a taper into your routine. Think of tapering as airplane landing on a runway. It comes in slow, steady, and then just kind of stops. The same thing with your training plan. You don't want to keep progressing each and every week and then go into your marathon that next week, because you'll be burned out, you'll be tired, you'll be fatigued, you'll be sore, and you really want to give your body time to rest, recover, and just be able to go into the race feeling good, feeling fresh, and ready to tackle that marathon. Okay, so at the 12-week mark, 13.1 miles. 13.1 miles is how far you want to run. You won't be able to run a half marathon at the 12-week mark. Now, that might seem daunting if you've never ran before, but trust me, it's not as far as you think. You'll notice that when you get into running, especially longer distance, it's all come down to your mindset and how you can deal with adversity, deal with fatigue, deal with pushing yourself past your perceived limits. So it's all going to come down to your mindset. But 13.1 miles is where you're going to want to be at the 12-week mark. Okay, so then at the 8-week mark, you want to be at roughly the 8-mile mark. I would say actually 9 miles, roughly 9 miles. Yeah, 9 miles would be perfect. So 2 months in, you want to be able to run 9 miles, 8, 9, 10 miles, somewhere around there, but 9 miles would be perfect. And that's just a good spot to be. Make sure you're progressing, you're on pace to be able to complete the race, but 9 miles is a good spot for 8 weeks into your training. And then 4 weeks, 4 weeks in, roughly 5 miles, you could say. 5 5 miles is a good spot to be a month into your training. By then you've built up a base, you've gotten comfortable with your running, comfortable schedule, you know what you're doing, and so then it's really just increasing your miles each and every week, or if you want to break it down, each and every month. So this is how I structure my training plans. I do it in 4 week measurements, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 weeks. You can do it week by week if you want. I don't like doing that, and here is why. So for me, sticking to a schedule day in, day out has never been a strong suit of mine. I've always liked to, be able to know I have to hit this goal and just figure out a way to achieve it type person. I've never, I gotta do this at this hour, then this minute, and that. It's more like, that's just too much structure for me. I've never really liked that. And so the way I do it is at the end of the month, you have to be able to hit a certain mile mark, right? By the end of 16 weeks, you got to be able to hit 20 miles, and you can do that however you want. And so like, let's say you hit, 20 miles on week 14 or week 15. Well, you don't need to run that next week. You can just do a maintenance run. You don't have to run at all. And just the way I do it is I'll set a measurement for each month, and once I hit that, check it off as like a checkbox type thing, and then I'll move on to the next mile marker. Okay, so now since we have our goals and our overall structure of our marathon training, let's break down into day by day. So starting off with Sunday. Sunday for me is usually day off or active recovery. So on Sundays, it's usually I'm not doing any working out, not doing any running, I'm just kind of chilling. Or if I really want to work out, then I'll do an active recovery. That could be walking for 20, 30 minutes, going on the stationary bike and walking for 20, 30 minutes. Maybe that's elliptical for 20, 30 minutes, or the Stairmaster, but it's usually lower intensity, lower pace, not for as long. You're just kind of moving your body around. Because active recovery is actually the best form of recovery. A lot of people will use like massage guns or do massages, but in reality, active recovery is the best form of recovery. And so if I want to get another workout in, I'll do an active recovery day on Sundays. Okay, so now moving on to Monday, this is where I will strength train and do a push day. Now, the way I structure my strength training is I'll do 3 times per week. I'll do a push, legs, and pull. It's push, pull, leg split. On Mondays is when I push. I do a push day. Wednesdays, which I'll break down as legs, and then Friday is a pull day. But on Monday is when I'm doing push. And if you don't know what that means, it's you're training your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. Okay, so exercises I would do on a push day could be, or is, the bench, press, and you can do that with a barbell or a dumbbell. I like doing both, I alternate, but bench press is gonna be key foundational exercise you do on a push day. And then also you have the incline, bench press. This is the same thing as bench press, but it's at an angle. This is really just more for the upper chest. But incline bench press is another great exercise, whether that's dumbbell or barbell. Those are both 2 great exercises. And then for another chest exercise, you could throw in there are flies, dumbbell, cable flies, or you want to do, there's machines that are good for flies, but those are some basic chest exercises that I would start all my workouts with, are whether it's a bench press, dumbbell, or barbell, it doesn't really matter. And then I always end the chest with flies. And then after I do about 3 exercises of chest, then I'll do shoulders. Let's actually label these. Shoulders. This is chest. So for shoulders, you could do dumbbell, shoulder press. You can do dumbbell or barbell shoulder press, but any type of pressing is really what you're gonna wanna do for shoulders. Arnold press, and then any type of dumbbell flies, lateral dumbbell flies. You can also do it for your rear delts, but the core for the foundation for shoulders are gonna be presses and then flies, and same thing, 3 exercises. Well, we actually look in the rep range after. And then for triceps, you want to do, for the most part, it's going to be extensions, tricep extensions. That's going to be the main one. You can do that with a rope. You can do that with an easy bar. You could do that with other attachments, but tricep extensions are going to be the main thing. You could also do anything like overhead tricep things, where you could do skull crushers, you could do over the head dumbbell tricep extensions, but for the most part, it's going to be overhead extensions. And so that is how I would structure a push day. I do that would be on a Monday. I start off with chest, 3 exercises, then I go to shoulders, another 3 exercises, and then finish off with triceps. Same thing, 3 exercises. And then for the rep range, the way I do it is 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps per exercise. So if you're doing the bench press, I'll do 4 sets. And then the rep range for bench press is going to be 8 to 12. You could start off with 12 and go heavier and then do 8 reps. But 8 to 12 reps is going to be the sweet spot. You can do a little bit more and go up to 15 on certain exercises. And you can also go down to 5 reps, 6 reps on heavier compound lifts like the bench, the squat, and the deadlift. But the sweet spot is 8 to 12 reps is where I would stay. That is how I would structure a push day, and I would do that on a Monday. And then moving over to Tuesday is where Tuesday is where you want to run. And this will be a medium run. And now what I mean by that is I break down my runs from short, medium, and long. Now, when you're first starting out, it's going to be skewed a little bit to shorter distances, but over the base entire training, short runs is going to be between 1 to 4 to 5 miles. A medium is 5 miles to 9 miles, and then a long run is 10 miles all the way up to 20. And so when you're very first starting out, you're probably only going to be able to run 1, 2, maybe 3 miles. That first month, you're only going to be able to run 5 miles, which technically it's all going to be short runs, but over the looking from a bird's eye view, over the course of 20 weeks, it's going to be a medium run on Tuesdays. And so this could be a medium run. You probably want to run, if it's your very first run, you probably only be able to run a mile, maybe 2 miles, but overall you want to run medium runs on Tuesdays. And then from a pacing standpoint, for me, I always try to find there's a happy medium of pushing myself, and then also not running too fast. And so I need to find that middle ground. If I push myself too hard, I'm going to burn out, I'm going to be fatigued, I'm not going to be able to finish the distance I want. But if I don't run fast enough, I'm not going to achieve my goal at a certain time. And also, I just get kind of bored out there. I don't feel like I'm moving. It feels like I'm just running in one spot, like on like a treadmill. And so for me, it's really finding that happy medium of where I feel like I'm pushing myself, I'm running fast, making progress, but not too fast where I'm getting burned out. And personally for me, that's around the 7:45 minute per mile mark. It can be different for everyone, so you gotta find what works best for you. But 7:45 is where I like to be. And also it really depends on your race and your time you wanna go for. And if you wanna run a 4-hour marathon, your average per mile needs to be 9 minutes, okay? And so if you want to do over 4 hours, then you can run 10-minute miles, 11, 12, 13s or whatever. And then of course, if you want to run less than 4 hours, then it has to be under 9 minutes. But if you want to run a 4-hour marathon, 9 minutes per mile is where you need to be. And so I would run a medium run on a Tuesday. Now Wednesday is where I go back to the gym, and we will train legs. So Wednesday is when I'm training legs, and about all my exercises, I'm doing them in the gym. I'm not a fan of home workouts. I'm not a fan of body weight exercises unless it's like push-ups or pull-ups. I'm not a fan of using 5-pound, 10-pound dumbbells for your entire workout, even though there are different muscle groups you're training. So you always want to, you're best off going to the gym. There's more exercises, There's different weights you can use. There's different machines. And also, I don't think a lot of people talk about it, is the energy of being in the gym. If you go to a gym that's crowded, people are taking it serious, well then you can feed off that energy, you can push yourself, you can learn from other people in the gym and progress instead of doing it at home in your own basement where you're just kind of going through the motions. So every exercise I do is at the gym. Worst case scenario, I'll do it at home, I'll do body weight, but for the most part, dumbbells, barbells, and machines. So legs is what I'll be doing on Wednesday. And the reason I'm training legs on Wednesday is because this will be the hardest workout of the week. This will you'll be the most sore, and you don't want to be so sore that when you run your long run on the weekends that you're still sore, right? That just makes it 10 times harder. So you want to be able to train legs hard on Wednesday, get stronger, but then have enough time to recover. So on Saturday or Sunday, whenever you run your long run, you'll be fully recovered. So legs is on Wednesday. Let's see, the exercises are squats. And for squats, you can do it. The barbell is going to be the best, or barbell back squat is the best exercise for squats. But you can do you can do front squats. You can do it with a dumbbell and do cannonball squats. But using a barbell on your back is going to be the best. If you have lower back problems, like I do, it does come down to form, weight. There's a few other details that if you want to get in that, comment down below and I'll break those down for you. But you can also just use a belt, but squats is going to be the best one. And another great one is leg press. This is actually a machine. It puts zero pressure on your lower back, and this is just, I do both, but if squats are absolutely killing you, then you can do leg press. It'll be an alternative. You'll be able to move a lot more weight, at least twice the amount of weight on a leg press. And then lunges. Lunges are phenomenal, great exercise. The whole goal with legs is to just train your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves, because if you have strong, powerful legs, running hills and going uphill won't be a challenge at all. You'll have that strength to tackle those hills. You won't be getting fatigued and burned out as tired. You'll be able to increase your distance and you'll be able to increase your speed. So having strong, powerful legs is a huge asset to running and really being able to achieve your goal of running a marathon. So making sure that you have strong legs is super duper important. Lunges, and then more isolation exercises. If you want to strengthen your hamstrings, maybe that's a lagging body part and you notice on your runs that your hamstrings are getting super sore and they're holding you back, then you can do hamstring curls. It's a machine, it's very easy, very basic machine. That's a great hamstring one, or RDLs, which is Romanian deadlifts. Another great exercise for strengthening your hamstrings, but let's just say your hamstrings are your weak spot. Those are two amazing exercises. The squats, the leg presses, and lunges, those are going to strengthen your quads, your hamstrings, your entire lower body. But if you just want to isolate certain parts of your legs, hamstring curls and Romanian deadlifts will be your best friend there. But let's say your quads are weak, right? You're going up hills and your quads are just on fire, and that's your weak part of when you run. Then you can do quad extensions, which is another great one. It's just like it's the opposite of hamstring curls. It's a machine, super duper easy one. But also you could do close foot squats, right? I don't know the exact name for it, but your feet, I guess it'd be narrow grip or narrow stance, but you move your feet closer together. That will put more tension and focus on your quads. And if you have your feet wider apart, like shoulder width apart, or even a little bit more wider, then it's gonna focus on glutes, quads, and hamstrings. But if you have your feet closer, then it's gonna be more of your quads. So the best exercise for strengthening your quads is going to be, well, I should put it down here, cannonball squats. with feet elevated. Now that seems a little advanced, but the best quad exercise to do if you just want to isolate your quads to the best of your ability is to do cannonball squats with a dumbbell, where you hold the dumbbell like this in front of you and you elevate your heels and you put it on like a plate, whether that's a 25-pound plate or whatever, and you just have your feet like this and you squat like that, and your feet are closer together. Absolutely amazing exercise for strengthening your quads. So, and then last thing, calves. There's calf raises. There's multiple variations of calf raises, but you can do calf raises on a Smith machine. You can do calf raises on a leg press. You can do standing calf raises. You can do seated calf raises, but calf raises are absolutely amazing. Especially for me, my calves are my lagging body part that hold me back when I run. They get sore. Now this might seem controversial, but when I train legs, that's harder than running a half marathon. So I take my legs day super serious. I'm pretty beat up after a leg day. Running a half marathon, it's really not a huge challenge for me, just because I ran it several times and I built up the leg strength, which I'm really trying to emphasize. If you build up leg strength, then when you go for a run or half marathon or eventually the full marathon, you're not going to be as sore, you're not going to be as fatigued or as tired. And so it's really important that when you're training, that you're taking your leg days serious and building up the strength in your legs. If you're questioning, will I get big and bulky if I strength train? The answer is no. Now, you're gonna get more toned, look bigger, look stronger, but in reality, will you get bigger and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger just by lifting weights? No, you won't, and here's why. Number one is it comes with genetics. These bodybuilders that you've seen in the magazines and videos, Instagram and all that, they have 1 in a billion like genetics, and average people like me, and maybe even you, don't have them. Think of it like LeBron James, right? He has 1 in a billion genetics, freak nature athlete, runs faster, jumps higher than just about everyone, bigger, stronger. Well, that is what bodybuilders have. They have insane genetics that allows them to put on size at a very quick rate. And then of course, we have to talk about nutrition, of them eating 6 to all the way actually up to 10 meals per day. They eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories. So it's an insane amount of food they eat, because you're really going to put on size from eating, right? And then training, if you're only strength training 3 times a week, you're not going to get big and bulky. I can promise you that. You got to be doing it every single day, sometimes twice a day. And then of course there's the supplements and the steroids. And so that's a different conversation for a different day, but I promise you, you won't get big and bulky at all. And so let's move on to Thursday. Now, Thursday is what I would call a short run. Now, this is just a short run of only running a few miles, and the reason is because you're going to be sore from Wednesday's leg day. There's nothing worse than running long distances when you're sore, hence why you run a short run, a couple miles after you train legs, and then your long run is a few days after that. So I'll do short runs on Thursdays, and like I said, when you're first week, second week, all the runs are going to seem short, but when you get into the 12 to 16 week mark, you still want to make sure that you're running shorter runs of a couple miles. And then moving on to Friday. Friday is when I will do a pull day. Pull day. Okay, so pull day is back and biceps. Now, for typical back exercises, the best one is going to be deadlifts. This is great for posterior chain. It really builds up your back, and also your hamstrings, your glutes, your legs, all that's involved too, forearms. It's really a full body except for maybe the chest. And so it's great for training your entire body. And then some other great back exercises, any type of rows. This could be dumbbell rows, could be barbell rows. It could be, there's machines where, there are machines that are rows. Another great exercise is if you want to do pull-ups. Pull-ups are amazing too. Any type of lat pull downs. Lat pull downs are great too. This is actually the exercise I like to start off with. Usually when it comes to deadlifts, I like to get warmed up before I deadlift, so I'll do some rows just to get my lats warmed up, get them engaged, get them activated, so when I feel fresh, feel nice and warmed up, then I'll go to deadlift. But lat pull downs are great for just warming up the back. Also, it is a great exercise in general, but lat pull downs I do every week. There's a few others, but those are gonna be the main ones. Deadlifts, rows, all different variations of rows. You can do cable rows too, pull downs, and then pull ups. And then there's also some machines that you can do. But those would be the foundation for your back, and then biceps. Back, biceps, and then this could be just basic dumbbell, bicep curls. You can do hammer curls, basic dumbbell bicep curls. You can do it standing, you can do it seated, you can use an easy bar. Hammer curls is going to be training the outside right here. Those are a great exercise too, but biceps are probably the easiest ones, just dumbbells, barbells, basic curls. But that is how I would structure a pull day of training back and biceps. And then Saturday is where I would do my long run. So this is what you've been waiting for. This is the main part of your training plan. That is a long run. This is the indication of how well you're going to do on your marathon. If you're killing it on your long runs, if every single week you're progressing, or every month you're hitting your mile markers, then you're going to do well on your marathon. Focusing on your long runs is key. The distances, like I mentioned, having a mile marker, whether you want to break it down into individual weeks, and increasing your weekly mileage by, 2 miles each week is good, or just the overall per month, which is right down here, like I first talked about, wherever it went. Oh, yeah. And so if you want to break down your long runs into the monthly, then this is a good structure to follow. But the thing about long runs is, let's talk about some mindset and some strategies. Let's talk about mindset first. Okay, so for mindset, you have to understand is when you're first running a long run for the first time, let's say you're setting a PR, you've never ran, let's say 13 miles, it's the first time you're running 13, you have to embrace the suck. Like, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be challenging, it's gonna be fatiguing, you've never done it before, so you don't know exactly what to expect, and it's gonna be a challenge. And so you have to go into that run thinking, okay, this is gonna be difficult, it's gonna be a challenge, and when things get difficult, you have to make sure that you push through. There's gonna be many times of when you wanna quit, when you wanna start walking, when you're feeling fatigued, feeling tired, you're cramping up, you're in pain, or whatever it is. You wanna make sure that you have the mental strength to push through. And a strategy for that is to break down your runs into bite-sized pieces. Let's say you're running 13.1 miles, that's your long run, and at mile 8 is when you start to get tired. Well, instead of thinking, oh my goodness, I need to run 5 more miles, break it down, those 5 miles, into 1 mile measurements. Instead of saying, I gotta run 5 more miles, think I gotta run 1 more mile 5 times. And what that does is, in your mind, you break down the run so small, it seems so manageable, that you've already ran 1 mile 1,000,000 times. During this race, you've already ran it 8 times. And so you just break down into small measurements where you think, okay, I can do this, I can do this. And if a mile seems too far, you can break down to 100 yards, you can do 100 feet to the end of the street, to a tree, to even 1 step. There are times I remember when I was training for my first marathon, I was running 20 miles, that I was very sore, I was cramping up, and I didn't think I could continue to run. And I would tell myself, 1 more step, 1 more step, 1 more step, because no matter how tired you are, how much pain you're in, how much fatigue, you can always take 1 more step. And if you can just withstand that tiredness and fatigue long enough, you'll be able to get to the other side. So what I break it down into is, think of being tired and in pain as a snowstorm, lightning storm, rain, just bad weather. And when you're feeling good, that's like when it's sunny, the weather's nice, you're outside enjoying your day at the beach or whatever. And winters come and go, summers come and go. So if you can just withstand the winters long enough, the summer is gonna happen and it's gonna come. So if you can just mentally push yourself through the tough times, the cold days, it's gonna be nice and sunny shortly down the road. And so if you can break down those runs into small, manageable, bite-sized pieces, you will notice that you'll be able to get through the tough times and you'll get that momentum, you'll get that energy back, because the runs are gonna go like this. So you go up, and down. There are times where you're not gonna feel good, and there's times when you're gonna feel great and on top of the world. So it's important that you're mentally strong enough and push yourself through the tough times. Another thing you can do is, after certain mile marks, is you can take 30 seconds to stretch. Take 30 seconds to stretch out. Do some air squats, touch your toes, bring your knee to your chest. Just kind of stretch your legs out, get them loose, move them around. You can do really whatever, just to kind of, because your legs are gonna be kind of sore, they'll be tired, they'll be cramped up. So if you can just kind of move around and give them a break, it's really good to just give them that break. And so what you do is you run a mile, take 10, 20, 30 seconds, stretch them out, then you run another mile, 10, 20, 30 seconds, stretch them out, and you keep doing it. Think of it like a pit stop, right? If you've ever watched NASCAR, they go around the track a bunch of times, they stop at the pit stop, they get gas, they get the tires changed, oil, whatever they do, and then they go back around the track, a bunch of times circles, back to the pit stop. Exact same thing. Think of your runs as a pit stop. You run 1 mile, you stop at a pit stop for 20, 30 seconds, you kind of re-energize yourself, you stretch out, and then you do another mile. Exact same thing there, and you do that until you finish your race. And so those are a few mindset and strategies, you could say. Well, this actually be a strategy here. Mindset and strategies for your long run. That is how I structure my training plan. It is really simple. 3 days of running, 3 days of strength training. I reverse engineer everything from the end in mind to the very beginning. And if you want to do a 20-week training plan, well, then you can space it out even more. Or if you want to condense it to 16 weeks, then you can make it shorter. But that is how I do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is an in-depth guide of everything you know about marathon training. And if you did enjoy this video, down below is a link where you can register for a free webinar. We'll talk about how to train for half and full marathons, talk more about strength training, and a little bit more stories and details. And then if you do want to work with me and have me customize your training plan, there is an option for you to do that too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And comment down below if you want me to do A to Z nutrition guide or video of exactly what to eat before, what to eat during your runs, what to eat after. So I hope this was everything you need to know about how to train for a marathon. It's really simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't get into your head. Don't have too many external resources. Keep it simple and then just execute on a daily basis. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.